Good afternoon. Hi all. Welcome to this King's Awards for Enterprise webinar with Enterprise in Cumbria. So we've got a number of people on the call today, but can I just start by welcoming everybody, but asking those people who are attending as guests, so those businesses and organisations in Cumbria who are perhaps thinking about entering the awards but are not actually formally speaking today, would you mind awfully just going on to mute and turning cameras off as well? Because we are going to record this session. So we want the video just to picture the people who are speaking, if that's okay. But you are very welcome. And we do have the chat function where you can input any comments or questions to any of the speakers today as we're going through the next hour. So delighted that we've got a number of speakers with us today. We've got Chloe and Dennis from the London office of the King's Awards, and we'll come to them in a few moments. We've also got Sally Phillips from Chimney, a previous winner of the awards. We're delighted to also have David Beebe with us from the Cumbria Lieutenancy Office, who's a keen supporter of these awards and has been involved for a number of years in making sure that Cumbria punches our weight and gets the accolades that we deserve at a national level. So we'll also be welcoming Createc shortly to give us a presentation as well on their experiences. But just by way of welcome, it was really positive to see the news last week about the winners from 2025. So Cumbria had 3 winners in the 2025 awards. We had the Lakes Free Range Egg Company at Stainton, who won the award for sustainable development. We had Createc, who are joining us today, with the award for international trade, and we had the config team also for the international trade category. So you may have picked up some of that in the media, and really delighted that they've been flying the flag for Cumbria. But focus now for us turns to the 2026 awards, because delighted to say that entries are now open, and we'll be talking through that process in just a minute. So we're really keen, David and ourselves at Enterprise in Cumbria, really keen that some of our brilliant businesses in Cumbria do shout about what they can do and do get the national recognition. These are the kind of premium awards at a UK level that a business can aspire to. And I'd like to just now pass over to Chloe and Dennis so that we can have an overview of the process around the awards. So over to you.
Thanks very much, Paul. Can I just check that you can see my slides?
We can, thank you.
And I know only my slides. That's great. Thank you. So thank you so much to Paul and Lucy and Enterprise in Cumbria for having us today. We're really excited to talk to you about the 2026 round of the King's Awards for Enterprise, and I'm joined by my colleague Dennis, and we're both going to be talking you through the application process, eligibility criteria, and why you should apply. So, as some of you may or may not know, the King's Awards for Enterprise are the most prestigious awards for UK companies. They have been going since 1965, and since then over 8,000 companies have achieved this royal award. We now continue as the King's Awards for Enterprise, for which we are in the 3rd year. You can see the new emblem that we have there. We have a new colour scheme where we've transferred from the Queen's Awards to King's Awards. So that is the emblem there that you can use if you are a King's Awards recipient. Now, if you wanted to apply for the awards, there are 4 categories that you can apply for. Those are innovation, and for this category, we recognise innovative products or services. International trade, which recognises outstanding overseas sales and commercial success. Sustainable development, which recognises a sustainability initiative or programme or product, as well as being a sustainable business. And then lastly, we have our promoting opportunity category, which recognises businesses who help those struggling to access the workplace through a social mobility scheme to help bring those into their workplace and excel in their own workplace, the community and beyond. So why apply for the King's Awards for Enterprise? So they are a trusted mark that provides immediate and long-term business benefits. As I mentioned, the emblem that you can see on the corner of the slides is a royally recognised symbol across the world. You can use it on all of your products, marketing materials, email signatures, absolutely anything for a full 5 years. And recipients tell us that having this emblem on their products allows them to have greater marketing opportunities, access to new clients and markets. Oh, I'm so sorry. Access to new clients and markets, global recognition as an outstanding British company. It also attracts more highly skilled staff and also helps you to retain your currently skilled staff as well. And lastly, and very importantly, it's a huge boost to staff morale. It's not just an award for those at the top of the company, it really is an award for every single member of staff, and it really does provide you with a huge credibility, trust, and puts you as a valued business above and beyond your competition. There is also a royal reception, which is this year will be at Windsor Castle, and it's often attended by members of the royal family. It's a fantastic day for celebration, and again, a great press opportunity. And additionally, each company is presented with their grant of appointment scroll and their King's Award trophy by His Majesty's local Lord Lieutenant, who is the representative in your area. So here's just some fantastic photos of last week's celebration as we announced this year's King's Awards winners. You can see how much it sparks on social media. We had brilliant press coverage across the UK, lots of activity and excitement on social media. On the news, we had radio, we had all sorts going on last week. So it really is a fantastic opportunity for all of the winners. I'm just going to pass over now to my colleague Dennis, who's going to tell you a little bit about the awards this year. Thanks, Dennis.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So with this slide, it's with reference motor statistics. So for 2025, we have had 199 awards to businesses, which were announced officially on the 6th of May. So as you can see, we have 2 double recipients. So 2 companies have received 2 awards. 88% of recipients were from small and medium-sized businesses, and of which 14% were micro businesses, that is businesses with less than 10 employees. Thanks, Chloe. So with this slide, I would like to just take you through the annual cycle of the awards process. So the application process is managed by the King's Awards Office at the Department of Business and Trade. The 2025 round opened on the 6th of May and will close on the 9th of September at midday. All applications must be submitted online. The applications are assessed by a team of independent assessors with experience and expertise for each category, a separate team for each category. So in November, all shortlisted applicants are notified. For the international trade and the innovation categories only, applicants are required to provide verification of the financial data by an independent auditor or accountant. Just to note that this is the only part of the process where applicants may incur an additional cost above the time they have invested in completing an application. For sustainable development and for promoting opportunity applicants, they are asked within the application to demonstrate viability in the application and therefore are not asked to verify figures. So I'd just like to say a little word about due diligence checks, which are a very important part of the process. So as you will appreciate, given the prestige attached to an award bearing His Majesty the King's name, due diligence checks are a vital part of the assessment process. So the process is undertaken by over 40 government departments and agencies on all the shortlisted applicants. This is to ensure making an award will not be detrimental or embarrassing to the government and the Crown. So in January and February, the assessor's recommendations in the form of a case summary are examined by judging panels for each category. And their recommendations are then examined by the Prime Minister's Advisory Committee in February. A list of recommended businesses are sent to the Prime Minister for consideration before being submitted to His Majesty the King for personal approval. Recipients who have been awarded are notified under embargo at the end of March. Concurrently, unsuccessful applicants receive comprehensive feedback on the strengths and weaknesses of their application, with guidance on how improvements can be achieved with a further application. Many applicants find the feedback of benefit in developing their business. Thanks, Chloe. Eligibility criteria. So the King's Awards for Enterprise is a self-nominating process and open to all businesses across the UK who meet the eligibility criteria. There are a few criteria which apply across all the 4 categories. 1, be based in the UK, including the Channel Islands and the Isle of Man. Have a good continuous compliance record with HMRC. Be a self-contained enterprise that markets its own products or services and is under its own management. And have at least 2 full-time UK employees or part-time equivalent. And finally, and demonstrate outstanding environmental, social, and governance practices. All businesses can be non-profit or be in the public sector. We also do like to thank the lieutenancies for the support and promoting the King's Awards to potential applicants. So application guidance. So this is for innovation. With the innovation category, we want to hear why your innovation is unique and how it has benefited your business, customers, and others. It is important for us to know what issues your innovation has solved and what challenges have been overcome in developing or distributing the innovation. Has the innovation been adopted by others in your sector or in other sectors? A primary reason applicants fail to be recommended is failure to demonstrate commercial success. Applicants need to show how the innovation has been developed and its impact, how sales have increased and market penetration was achieved, and the number of customers, how that has increased. Showing a return on investment is also important. Thanks, Chloe. So international trade. The highest number of applicants each year are received for this particular category. For international trade, applicants must show that the business has achieved outstanding growth in overseas earnings. And they will be starting from a minimum of £100,000 in overseas sales in the first year of entry. So an entry can be submitted with figures for a period of 3 years or a period of 6 years. So what the assessors are looking for is steep year-on-year growth without dips in the overseas sales for the 3 years, or substantial year-on-year growth without dips over a period of 6 years. The assessing teams are experts in international trade, but not experts in individual company business. So the application needs to tell a story about the business and explain in simple terms why their international trade has been of importance to the business. Assessors take each business on its own merits. They take into account the size of the business, the sector, and their markets. Assessors do understand the very different processes in relation to sectors and size. And most importantly, it is not a competition. Back to you, Chloe. Thanks.
Thank you, Dennis. So our third category is promoting opportunity through social mobility. Now, this is our newest category for which we received the least applications, but we're really keen to have more applications in this category and more winners. As Dennis said, it's not a competition, so we don't have a cap on the number of awards we can give each year. So if everyone, the ones that apply, if they meet the merit and they pass all of our due diligence checks and our judging panels, then they will be awarded. So for this category, we recognise businesses that are helping individuals who ordinarily struggle to access, progress and succeed in the workplace. So we recognise businesses or subsidiaries with a core purpose of enterprise and then have the social mobility initiative on the side. If your company has solely been set up to deliver social mobility and you wanted to apply, you would need to do so as a partner application, a joint application with a business. So to put that into reality with an example, if you are a training provider, for example, who's been set up to help young people go on to being an apprentice, you would need to do a joint application with the enterprise business who is taking on those apprenticeships. Or if you are a business who has been set up purely to deliver social mobility, you could have a program in place for your own staff, if that makes sense. Very happy to help with that one and answer any questions, as well, as it can be a little bit of a grey area. However, for this category, what we are looking for are businesses who have a real focus on who they are helping and why. There's a clear narrative of why you set up this program, why you wanted to help people, and what the support is that you're offering. And very importantly, we want to see KPIs. We want to see how this program has been a success. What are your key markers in knowing that it is being impactful for your business, for the people going through the program, and for the community. Types of interventions for this could include recruitment process improvements, work experience, careers advice, mentoring, coaching, anything like that where you're helping people excel and proceed in the workplace. As I mentioned, the KPIs for this section are really important. Our assessors want to see that journey that you've been on as an organisation and why you are helping these people and how these people have gone through the programme excelling, and they have that really positive outcome as a success from the programme as well. We do have a list, it's quite a long list, so if you're wondering if the type of people that you're helping comes into those who classify as social mobility, then we can share that list with you, and quite likely it does cover a huge range of people, so I'm very happy to chat through that with you as well. Our last category is sustainable development, and we've had a lot of thought this year on how we can make this category easier for people to apply for, and how we can ensure that we are really recognising those who are leading the way in sustainability. So rather than just having a sustainable product or initiative, we want that sustainability to be at the real core of the company. We want to see the senior leaders leading the way In sustainability, we want you to be setting an example for those in your sector and also other sectors as well. We've also listened to feedback on the actual application form, and we've condensed the words count, we've reduced repetition in the questions, and we're focusing more on ESG practices and a whole organisation approach to sustainability. The assessment of this category is definitely proportionate to the size of your business. So we don't expect companies of 2 to 5 employees to be doing the same amount as those with thousands of employees. So we do definitely take that into account. We would strongly encourage you to look at the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and perhaps align some of your answers in the application form to those. We don't expect you to be meeting all of their goals, but we really think it's a good indicator of if you are doing well sustainable development wise and how you can use those to help tell the story through your application. We also expect companies applying to be considering their emissions, their circular economy, benchmarking, and B Corp status as well. B Corp isn't essential, but it always does show that it always does come across as a strong application, those who do already have B Corp status. Just to round up, as you said, it's open to almost UK businesses. It is free to enter, and it's an online process that the business must apply for themselves. We are open currently and we close on the 9th of September. I know that does seem like a bit of a way away at the moment, but I would really encourage you to start the process as soon as possible. It is quite a lengthy application, but you can revisit it as many times as you wish. Where it is online, it will automatically save and you can revisit it with colleagues, go away, have a chat, work on it with some of your colleagues and come back to it before the 9th of September. We can share these slides afterwards so that you've got all of the information there. But we are a small team of 5, as Paul said, based in London. These are our contact details. We're always happy to have a chat, answer any queries that you have on our helpline or in our mailbox. And we do have our social media as well, where we will be sharing lots of stories of this year's winners. But thank you very much. I'm happy to answer any questions now or offline.
That's fantastic. Thanks to Chloe and Dennis for giving us that overview. Really, really helpful background to understand the process and the timeline going forward. So if anyone does have questions, please do drop those in the chat and we'll pick those up as we go through. I suppose the first question from myself for Chloe and Dennis is, in terms of the support available, I know that we're keen locally to make sure that businesses are supported. Is that something that we can approach our local Cumbria Lieutenancy for?
Well, perhaps I should answer that one, Paul. As you know, I am one of the Cumbria Deputy Lieutenants. The Deputy Lieutenants are very keen to support businesses. Quite a few businesses over the years have worked with one or more of the Deputy Lieutenants to put their application together. So, and you can contact the Lieutenancy office through our website, and if you want some support. I do also encourage Chloe and Dennis kindly put their phone number up there. You know, if you've got some questions about eligibility, please do ask. It is a time-consuming process, but they are very, very valuable awards, and therefore, in a sense, the effort justifies the reward, if I can put it that way. So it is very important. So the office is there to help. The Deputy Lieutenants are here to help, and you know, I think pretty well most businesses have some basis potentially for applying. I can see one very important business up in Carlisle that's with us. You know, they are a subsidiary of a foreign company, but they're an independent UK subsidiary, so perfectly able to apply. You know, we just really want to recognise some of the many great achievements that are going on in Cumbria, and shout loud about what's good in Cumbria.
Yeah, thanks, David. Yeah, well said. And I think I'm really encouraged by the statistics that were presented there. I think, Chloe, Dennis, did it say 14% of the winners were micro businesses? Because that says to me that actually, whilst the process might be difficult, it's certainly not impossible for smaller businesses to be able to compete and win.
No,
Yes,
that's
sorry, that's Sorry, that's correct. That is every sorry, every year we do get at least about 90% of the businesses that are small and medium-sized businesses, and we've had businesses with just half a dozen people that have been successful.
And I think it's worth adding for those of you who are experienced with tenders and so on and so forth, it is the same assessor. It will then be checked over, but who will review your whole application. So there's no need to repeat the same information in the answer to every question. It will be read by a single assessor and adjudicated by another assessor, but you don't need to repeat yourself. And I think Chloe used the word a few times. It's about telling the story. Get the story across about what the award you're pitching for, about what the achievements have been, why you've made them, why you're making a difference because of it. So it's very much about the story. But maybe we can hear in a minute from a couple of people who've been successful, and they can tell us how they told their story.
Thanks, David. Yeah, we'll move on to Sally in a minute and hear her background story around the awards. But just before we do, Chloe, final word to you in this section.
Yes, sorry, thank you. Just from something David said there made me think that we obviously offer support in the team and with the lieutenancy, but in terms of telling the story, something that our winners tell us is it's quite useful to have someone external to the business read through it as well, because sometimes if your business is quite technical, it's quite maybe a bit complex, then you might get caught up in some of the technical jargon. And although our assessors are very skilled, they are from a diverse range of sectors, sometimes that technical jargon might get a bit lost. So it's really great to kind of strip it back to basics, explain what it is you're doing as someone who's completely new to the business, and have someone outside read through that and just make sure that it does make sense as someone who isn't perhaps familiar with what you do as well. But yeah, just a quick last minute tip. Thank you.
Thanks, Chloe. Yeah, that's really helpful. So thanks to yourself and Dennis and for David there for those words. Can I now move on and introduce Sally Phillips from Chimney Sheep Limited? So Chimney Sheep have been an innovation winner in recent years. I think it was 2022. They're based in Workington, but they now sell across the globe. So Sally, we'd love to hear a bit more about your background and your journey to winning an award. Over to you.
Okay. Hello. Thank you for having me on. So my story is that 15 years ago, I was an ecologist. I've always had a passion for the environment and energy saving and things. And I became aware of how many open chimneys there are in the country and how much energy is lost up chimneys. And being in the land of wool, I developed a chimney blocker made of herdwick wool. So it's easy to say in one sentence, but anyone that's developed a product knows that to go from idea to prototype to market ready product is quite a difficult thing. But I just took it one step at a time. I launched back in 2012. I did a soft launch because it was just me. I'd spent all the money I had on developing the product, so I didn't have much money for marketing. And I just thought I'll take the business one. I didn't have a business background, so I just thought I'll just take it one step at a time and see how it goes. And what I find with selling chimney draft excluders is I'm selling a problem that people didn't know they had. So we lose 80 cubic meters of air up a chimney per hour. Chimneys are cleverly designed to pull air out of a building constantly. And you don't really notice the warm air escaping, but you do notice the cold drafts that come in as a consequence of the warm air leaving. So I have to make a story around that and how much air is being lost, how much heat's being. So, a chimney blocker will save about £100 a year and 250 kilos of CO2 per year. So it's a super low tech gadget, but it's really got a role to play in our journey to net zero and in saving energy and saving money. So I've entered other awards as well before, because it's all about getting your product known, getting your brand known. and gaining authenticity. But I have to say that well, it was the Queen's Award then. We were lucky enough to, you know, get the Queen's Award in the last year that it was, you know, that we had the Queen with us. And yes, it is very onerous. It took a lot of work to sort out the application and everything, but I have to say that it was a really useful experience. You know, you really drill into your numbers and your sales figures, and you know, numbers of products sold, profit, all of these things. So it was a really useful exercise to do that. And then knowing that it goes through that level of scrutiny means that when we heard that we'd won the award, it means it's head and shoulders above other awards that we've been lucky enough to win. And you know, you've got the backing of, you know, the British establishment, basically, haven't you, behind a King's Award as it is now. The reason we enter awards is like I say, it gives our company, our product, and our brand kudos, but it also gives us publicity. And I have to say that it was such an excellent publicity opportunity for us. So when the results were announced, again, we often have to chase journalists and try and get our stories out there and everything, but the phone was ringing. You know, as soon as the awards were announced, people were in touch with us wanting to, you know, get us on the radio and publications and things. So that was brilliant. Then there's the trip to well, for us it was to Buckingham Palace, and to, you know, to have the royal reception, and that was fun. I think that's something that's kind of like missed out with some of this conversation about the award, but that it was a really fun event and good to meet other business winners, and an opportunity that you don't get very often at all. So that was another chance for publicity. And then the third time was when David Beebe and the Lord Lieutenant of Cumbria came to present the awards at our works premises. And as Chloe mentioned, it involves the whole company. So, you know, it's the whole team. It's a team effort, developing and growing a product and a business. And it makes the whole team feel like they are part of that success, and you know, sharing it. So that was a good occasion as well. And again, you know, another opportunity for publicity. So, you know, we gained a lot that way. So that was sort of the process, and the, you know, and the achieving of the, you know, and getting the award presented in, you know, with the three opportunities of publicity. In terms of what the award's done for us, having been awarded, I mean, I think you have to make sure that you get that logo used as much as you can, because 5 years slip away quickly, don't they? So you know, we try and make sure it's on all our publicity and our, you know, website, email signature, leaflets and everything. So it's hard to really quantify, or, you know, monetarily, what the benefits of receiving the award have been. But I have to say, I don't think I realised until latterly, when, you know, you tell people about your business and what you've done and how you've grown. And you know, not very long ago, somebody said, well, if you want any awards for your business growth, and when I mentioned that I had the Queen's Award, you know, that they were impressed. And I think that's something I probably hadn't realised at the time of applying, that it is about your whole business. It's not just about, although it's for innovation, it's what you've done with that innovative product, and having shown, you know, growth year on year on year. I'd say to anybody thinking of applying, if you're on that trajectory, it's a good time to go. You just don't know what's going to happen, do you? So if you are on that sort of growth incline, anyway, if you're on that path, it's really worth applying for the King's Award, and it's a way of you know, showing off what you've done and demonstrating it to other businesses and getting that credibility, and just giving yourself a good pat on the back and showing what success you've achieved. So I think that's all I've got to say, really, Paul. But if anyone's got any questions, I'll be pleased to answer.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Sally. And yeah, please do drop your questions into the chat if you do have any. So Sally, a couple from myself. Was it when you first found out that you'd won, were you surprised? Did you get any inkling beforehand that you were going to be winning, or how do you remember that?
The fact that I mean, it's quite a long process, isn't it? You know, from submitting the application in September, and then I was approached for more information. I think they wanted more accounts details and things like that. So I think that's a clue, isn't it? If they want to know more, I think, well, I haven't been rejected yet, or they wouldn't be asking, maybe. But no, so, and then it is several months afterwards. So I think I've more or less forgotten about it. So when you know, when I was contacted and told that we'd won, no, it was brilliant, and you're told in confidence. So you want to, you know, tell everybody, but you have to keep it quiet. But no, it was a very exciting moment.
And I'm interested in your export journey as well, because obviously you won for innovation, but did you start exporting before the award? You won the award, or did the award help with exporting because you could use that kind of UK brand behind your marketing?
I was looking at overseas markets, you know, right from the beginning, really, right from when I launched. So, you know, it's always been an opportunity to sort of grow the business. But I think having the King's Award, it does give you credibility overseas for sure. You know, it does impress others. So yeah, no, it's always been part of what we do. Brexit's made things a whole lot harder, hasn't it? So you have to work that much harder to find the overseas markets. So I think you need whatever sort of boost you can get, really, to try and win those contacts.
And just final question from me. You talked about the kind of whole team approach to, you know, putting the application in. Did you see the benefit in terms of the whole team kind of celebrating the victory? And you know, did you see that through the happiness of staff in terms of how pleased they are with kind of coming into work?
Well, I mean, staff morale is always something you want, you know, it's something you want a happy team, don't you, and engaged teams. So I don't know if there was more of a jaunty swagger to the crew when they were coming in the next day, but I think it just boosts the mood, you know, and just make people realise that they're part of something, you know, and you can feel a bit, you know, here we are on the west coast of Cumbria, and it's kind of it connected us to, you know, to the rest of the country, and it just showed how, I think it opened people's eyes a bit more to what our reach is and how far and wide we're sending our products.
That's great. Thank you, Sally. And yeah, really pleased that you've been a winner. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for giving us that overview. Can I move on now to Matt from Createc? So Matt Meller from Createc, based at Cockermouth. They are 4-time winners, I think, Matt, if that's correct. Most recently for international trade. So thank you for joining us. Could you give us a bit of a background to the business and your story as well, please?
Sure, no problem. So you can hear me, right? Okay, that's a good start. So you're right, this was our 4th award. So we had 6 years ago, we got our first Queen's Award, and then the following year, a second Queen's Award, and then last year we got our first King's Award, and this year our 4th. And in both the cases of the King's and Queen's Award, we got the award for innovation and then the award for international trade. So I'll say a little bit about the business, just so that there's some context for the rest of it. We've been founded in Cumbria 15 years ago, with a mission to help our customers in nuclear energy and defence to adopt new technologies. So we were looking at emerging capabilities in things like robotics and AI and new sensor developments, and observing that these were relevant to the problems that our clients had, and wondering, why aren't we seeing more use of these? And we realized the challenge that our customers face is that those technologies they do solve a problem, but they aren't ready for use in the industry in question, or they aren't fitted as a product to that. So we took on that role of creating new products based on these fundamental technologies to take them to market, or helping our clients solve the problem of how do we adapt ourselves to be able to use this technology in the form that others use it. So it's really all about helping particularly our nuclear decommissioning customers like Sellafield, who are our local anchor customer, but all of our other similar customers around the world, helping them to do better, be safer, be faster, be cheaper in doing what they do by trying to get the best out of emerging technologies. And that's really what motivates us. We're all relatively geeky people, but also motivated by, we don't want to just sit in a shed and play with technologies. We want to actually see it have some kind of impact. So for us, that sort of pairing of an award for innovation and an award for having actually had some economic impact was really an ideal fit to our sort of, I guess, ultimately our sort of sense of purpose. Why do we do things? So it's been incredibly valuable to the company, because it means that we've got some really simple, instantly recognizable validation that we do these things that we've sort of set ourselves up to do, that can be readily understood by people from other markets, other countries, who would probably have never heard specifically of the award in a lot of cases, but everybody's heard of the King and everyone's heard of the Queen, and they know if that award has that name on it, it must be what it is. So they get very, very quickly to an understanding of what this award means, and it instantly gives a comfort, because the assumption is that level of due diligence is there, that this is some kind of stamp of recognition, stamp of approval that you are a bona fide business who's really good at what you do. So it really helps quickly get to a position of trust, particularly I think when we're dealing with our international customers. And it's a really quick shorthand for what we're really trying to do and what we really value about ourselves. So those two pair of logos appear on all of our branding materials, all of our communications, email signatures, and it's just that instantly visibly recognizable validation of what we're about, innovation and commercial impact through that innovation. So it's been, we could never really quantify it, but I think it's palpably true, talking to actual and potential customers, that it does have an impact on our standing and our reputation with them, and the level of comfort and confidence that they have in trading with us. So it's something that we basically, I think after we won our first award, within a year or so, we realized, right, that as soon as the 5 years is up, we need to make sure that we've done enough to win another one. So it's also a bit of a motivator. And I think actually also, Sally was talking about, you do have that it's a bit of a morale boost. It's some external validation for everything that the business has done, and everyone does feel that it's their thing. It's a recognition of the business, and therefore of the team's results. But I think it also, particularly, I think the 5-year time frame is very nice, because it's a time frame that's sufficient. Well, sorry, not 5 year. It's 3 and 6 for the application, right? So when you're looking back, you're either applying on the basis of 3 years or 6 years results. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to remember technical details here. And then the award stands for 5 years. So when you're preparing the application, you're looking back retrospectively at what you've done over the last few years. And then in thinking about, as we've done, of trying to maintain the awards because they're available for a limited period of time, it gets you into the habit of stopping and thinking about what you've actually done and what you've actually achieved over longish periods of time, that you don't always take the opportunity to do that. And so I think it has quite a morale boost for the people who are directly involved, but also when we talk about it within the company and we're able to say, well, do you remember 5 years ago when we won this award last time? And we were saying, if we were to grow as much over the next 5 years as we had over the last, we would be this big in 5 years' time. And it seems incredible and like an unachievable goal. And yet we have achieved it, and we actually have grown, I think, by more over the last 5 years than we had over the previous 5 years. So it really is a great opportunity to stop and think and look at what you've achieved as a team, and just to step back and look and recognise that you've done some good things. So yeah, I think there's no doubt in our minds that we can take a bit of we've got the two that we think really fit us as a business. So we can take a little bit of a breather now before the next ones. But I think we're completely committed to say, look, we want to be in 5 years' time the business that deserves to win another one. But we can't do that by standing still. We need to show that we've innovated again and that we've grown again. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. Not just to win the award, of course, but it's nice to have something to aim for. So I don't know if anyone has any particular questions about approach to applying or anything along those lines.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, again, for anyone that wants to drop a question in the chat, please do so. I did have one actually, Matt, in terms of the process. So a couple of people mentioned earlier around the support that's available. Did you get external support when you first entered, in terms of the writing, etc., or did you do it all in house?
So I think the first time we did, in fact, the first two we did. Well, I think for the first two, I actually did almost all of the writing. So the wordsmithing I did, and then I had some colleagues read it back to me, and I think I got some people outside of the business, some friendly colleagues outside of the business, to just give it a read and say, how does this come across? Does the message get across? Do you think it's fair and accurate? So just to get that, I think it's really valuable to have a reading from someone who's coming at it fairly cold. But I do think, if you've got a story to tell, it is ultimately about your story, about your business. So if you can clearly articulate that, you should be fine to do so. I think you don't need anyone else to do that for you. There's no magic recipe. There's no secret phrases that need to be dropped into the right place. It is ultimately an assessment of your business through your articulation of what it is and what you've done, and through the numbers. And the numbers are pretty critical for these two awards. So I think we've applied. So I think for the 4 awards, I think we've actually only applied 5 times. So we've had 5 applications, 4 successful, 1 unsuccessful. And so this time last year, even though we actually still had the International Trade Award, we tried to go for a double award. But we were unsuccessful with the international trade category, and that was basically all down to the numbers. So the feedback said, this is great. It's a great story. You're doing great things, but we had COVID in that period. So unfortunately, our financial year is just 1 month too late for our most recent numbers to count towards the award. So we're always talking about really where we were 11 months ago when we fill out the applications. So unfortunately for us, that meant that last year we still had the COVID period, and we did actually grow, but we didn't grow dramatically over that period. And that's for that 3-year interval. That's obviously what people are looking to see, is that sustained steep growth. And the numbers didn't quite tell that story, so we weren't successful. We did think about going for the 6-year time frame rather than the 3-year time frame last year, And we decided that wasn't really in the spirit of it, because we still had the old award. That would have meant that we had a 2-year overlap over that 6 years. So two of the years we'd be talking about were 2 of the 3 years from the original application. So I don't know whether or not that would have actually have been against the rules, but we felt that possibly it was against the spirit, and we should do it from the last 3 years instead, and argue that we had steep growth. We'd had very steep growth coming out of the COVID period. But essentially the feedback from the application was, it's a great story, but the numbers aren't quite good enough. But if it carries on like this, try again next year, because that probably would be good enough. And that is pretty much exactly what we did, I think. Almost no update to the words, but just the extra sort of 1 extra year in the numbers. Therefore, the COVID period dropping out and now being able to show sustained steep growth for 3 years.
I guess that part of the key is for anybody thinking about entering is, if you are unsuccessful, it's important obviously to look at the feedback that you get, because you will get some feedback on why that's the case, and then look to improve your application in future years.
Yeah, and in our case, it certainly seemed to be the case that the feedback was absolutely spot on. So we did exactly, well, we addressed exactly the points that were raised. They didn't literally tell us what to do, but the reviewers very clearly raised some specific points and said if it wasn't for these points, this would have been a successful application. So we were quite confident coming in this year that we really should be successful, because we felt that we had addressed those points, and it was almost a numerical issue. So yeah, I mean, I would say also it's encouraging that for all of the effort that went in last year was by no means wasted effort. That meant it was a lot easier to then apply this year.
Absolutely. And just a word, if you can, Matt, on the impact for the wider team then, as we asked Sally before around that, obviously for the awards that you've won, is it something you share within the company and kind of make a kind of genuine success for everyone?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously as soon as we can, it's something we talk about a lot, and I think it's something that the team really do appreciate. But it's actually the first thing you see when you walk in the door of the business. Is you see the certificates for the 2 and the awards for the 2 Queen's Awards and for the King's Awards. So obviously when we get the physical award later in the year, that will go alongside. But I think that the greatest impact in terms of team morale actually comes at the ceremony where we'll receive the award, because we typically do that with everyone in the company who can make it on the day present and make a bit of a thing. And if we can, we'll integrate it into our company away day, where we get it, because we're a multi-site business. It's really great to bring everyone together at least once a year and make sure that those social connections are made. So linking that to the award really gives everyone a feel-good feeling, gives everyone something to talk about and something to recognise each other's contributions for as well.
Absolutely, that's great. Thank you, Matt. So we're starting to wrap up now, I think. I don't know if Chloe, Dennis or David, you've got any final comments to make before we wrap up. We will obviously share the slides around to everyone that's attended today, and the webinar will be available to view. We're going to share that widely across Cumbria so more businesses can be aware of the opportunity to apply for the awards. But any final words, David? Anything from you?
Yeah, I mean, if I can just encourage people to apply. I do think, in answers to one of your questions, Paul, which Matt answered extremely well, the only people who can retell the story, and when I listened into the assessors when they were talking about their role and how they go about it, they're all interested in the story. And in my view, the only people who can tell the story are the people in the business. Get somebody to review it afterwards, to say, does it make sense, or whatever. But don't get somebody else to try and write it for you. The only people who can really tell the story of the business are the people in the business who lived that story. So I would really encourage that, and that is clearly what the assessors are looking for as well. Not beautifully crafted, not a professional, written by a professional storyteller or whatever, actually written by the people who've lived it and know what it feels like and know what's been going on. So really strongly recommend that, and just encourage everybody to apply. Yes, it's quite hard work, but it's a very prestigious award. It says a lot about your company. The due diligence is, as Chloe and Dennis said, it's so important that somebody who receives an award like this, that, you know, the business is going to be there in the next couple of years' time, or it's not going to do anything that could damage the reputation of the award, because the award is valued by all the winners enormously. So it is worth the effort, and we have some great businesses in Cumbria, and we want to shout about that as much as possible. So thank you for your interest.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, David. And we've got, I think, till the start of September, as we said earlier, now for people to get entries in. So please do get in touch and start to think about how you might develop that entry for your business. So
Yeah.
I'd just like to close.
Start soon. Because you'll have a few iterations of it as well, and you'll think about it, you'll write it, somebody else will look at it, and then you'll rewrite it or edit it or whatever. So don't leave it for a long time, which is why we're doing this now, not in July. You know, start thinking about it now.
Yeah. Super. Thanks, David. So thank you, David. Thank you to Chloe and Dennis, and also to Sally and Matt for giving us their take on it from their experiences with successful businesses in Cumbria. So thank you, everyone, for your attendance and your input, and have a great rest of the week.